Welcome to Uncovering Spirituality, where we embark on a journey of exploration and discovery into consciousness, energy, and the spirit world. Join us as we delve into the mysteries of spirituality and uncover the universal truths that connect us all. Hello, I'm Kathy Upper, founder of Spiritual Niagara. I'm also the consulting visionary and podcast host for Spiritual Canada, and this is Uncovering Spirituality. Today's guest is Lorriiii Dragon Dream, ceremonialist, shamanic teacher and practitioner, and founder of spiritdrumming.com. Based in Ontario and New Brunswick, Lorriiii walks the path rooted in both Celtic and animistic traditions, shaped by a deep, ongoing relationship with the land. Her practice is grounded in the body, guided by the rhythms of the earth, and carried by a quiet trust in the unseen. Through her work, she helps others return to their own inner knowing, offering ceremonies, drumming circles, and soul work that invite healing, belonging, and transformation. Whether guiding people through the seasons or the cycles of the moon, or facilitating personal shamanic journey work, Lorriiii holds space with reverence, intuition, and a deep love of life. Hi, Lorriiii, and thanks for joining me today.
Hello. It's wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, I am privileged actually to have known Lorriiii, and I was trying to figure this out, Lorriiii. I know it's over 15 years. And I've had the pleasure of experiencing her deeply inspiring ceremonies. We did firewalks years ago. I've done drumming circles with her, along with the new moon ceremony. And actually, I think the first time we met might have even been before Spiritual Niagara, because I don't know if you remember this. I remember it like it was yesterday. You do, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
It was at that park, like it's out in Caledonia or something like that.
Crawford Lake, I think it was.
Crawford Lake, that's it.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever gone to any kind of a spiritual event. It was pretty big, actually. And I was by myself. So I remember this too. I remember we talked about I heard you say the quote, sometimes you're the dreamer and sometimes you're the dream. And it just like hit home. And it was like probably the first time I'd ever heard that. And after the speaker and stuff, I remember going up to you and saying, like, wow, like that just, it hit my heart, right? Like when I realized that yeah, sometimes we're the dreamer and sometimes we're the dream. And then you saying to me, which was just the most beautiful thing,
Yeah.
and I thought, wow, this is one special lady. So
Mm.
yeah, I remember that. And I don't know, do you think that was maybe like do you think it was more than 15, 20 years maybe, or something like that?
Well, I think it was around 2007
Oh, okay.
because I think it was about yeah, I think it was around 2007 because I had done my first fire walk in 2007. It was shortly after that, I think. So, or maybe it was, I can't remember, but I think it was
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
it
it's
was
almost 20 years now. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that is actually before Spiritual Niagara, because I started that in 2009. So yeah, neat.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
so cool. Time flies, eh?
Yeah, I know. So today we're going to be exploring shamanism. And we're going to start with the role of a shaman, because not everyone, knows what a shaman is, right? And then while I have some knowledge from participating in ceremonies, I recognize there's still much to learn about the role and the impact that it has on others, right? So yeah, Lorriiii, let's start there. If you can, enlighten others as to what that role is all about.
Yeah. Well, the word shaman, it actually comes from a very specific culture, the Tungus people in Siberia. And in their tradition, it refers to someone who listens to spirit, enters altered states, and acts as a healer and a bridge between the worlds. And over time, this term has been adopted more broadly by scholars and anthropologists, often used to label and sometimes oversimplify diverse earth based traditions. At its heart, the role of the shaman is relational. It's not about power or performance, but about tending to relationships between people, um, between spirit and ancestors, the land, and the deep self. The shaman listens for what isn't being said and tracks what's hidden and helps bring others back into right relationship with themselves and the world around them. Finding the right words for this kind of work can be challenging. Terms like shaman or animist were often defined by outsiders who didn't fully understand these traditions and at times distorted their depth. And so when I use the word shaman, I use it with care because I know it doesn't belong to me. And yet, roles like this exist in many cultures. And in my own ancestral lineage, rooted in Celtic tradition, the figure that most resonates is called the feasa. And feasa means woman of knowledge or wise woman. She was a seer, a healer, someone people turned to when something was out of balance. She might offer a prayer or a song or a story like that first meeting of ours. And she was seen as someone who understood the deeper layers of land and spirit and the soul. And in the old Irish stories, the Ban Fasa or Ben Fasa walked walked the edge between the worlds. And she was often respected and sometimes even feared, but always known to be in relationship with the unseen. And for those of us with deep Celtic roots, she reminds us that our people too had medicine ways, and that that we're rooted in this earth-based spirituality as well. We're rooted in the land and listening to the cycles and in ceremony and deep remembering. So when I use the word shaman, I don't use it to imitate another culture. I use it as a way to point toward a role that I hold, someone who walks between the worlds and listens deeply. In my practice, the threads I carry are Celtic lineage in my blood, animist worldview, which I follow, and the teachings that I've received from years of practice. And I feel like I'm in conversation with the Ben Fasa every time I sit in circle, light a candle, drum for someone's healing, or simply listen beyond the conversation and the obvious. And that the space I hold isn't one of an expert. It's a bridge. I'm a companion on the path of learning and remembering. That's how I see the shamanic path.
So I know there's a lot of different types of shamanisms. I've had experience with a couple. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about, what is Celtic shamanism? Maybe, where that comes from, so people have a better understanding about those practices.
The type of shamanism that I practice is deeply rooted in cross cultural teachings, and it's grounded in Celtic ancestry, and it's shaped by a living, ongoing relationship with the land. It's not something I chose, it's something that called me. And for many of us, shamanism isn't a career or a title, it's a path that arrives quietly and insistently, often long before we even have language for it. I feel that I've been walking this path my whole life. listening to the unseen, tending to what's beneath the surface, saying yes again and again and again. This isn't something that I learned over a weekend. It's a lifelong unfolding. It's a call I've followed through personal practice, formal training, and direct experience. My path has been like a spiral. It's not linear. It's returning to the same teachings and landscapes, each time revealing something new. I've studied with respected shamanic teachers and elders, and my practice continues to be shaped by the land I live on now, and by what my body reveals and what spirit asks of me. And over the years, I've trained extensively in shamanic traditions that honor direct revelation, ancestral connection, and earth-based wisdom. And one of the core frameworks within that I work within is called the Moving Mandala, and it's a powerful program that integrates elemental teachings, sacred geometry, and energy awareness. It's both a map and a mirror, helping people align with their inner truth and attuning with the rhythms of life. I've also been shaped through pilgrimage, both personal and shared. I've journeyed to sacred sites, sometimes on my own, sometimes guiding groups into the ancestral lands. These weren't just travels, they were initiations, time spent walking the old paths and listening to the stones and making offerings to the land. All of that was part of my training. And my work is also deeply embodied, and I integrate body-centered coaching into my shamanic practice as well, not as something separate, but as a perfectly aligned way of listening. The body is the carrier of wisdom. It holds emotion, memory, and ancestral story. It knows what the mind forgets. And because we live here on this earth, in this body, the wisdom that moves through us is inseparable from the land itself. One of the other programs that I work with is called The Journey Around the Celtic Wheel. What it is I follow the 8 seasonal festivals and explore the teachings of the land through story, ritual, and personal reflection. And this journey can be taken one-on-one or with a group in a circle. And another thing that I do is I offer full moon drummings and new moon ceremonies, rites of passage, and ongoing mentoring for walking the shamanic path. Alongside group teachings, I work closely with individuals in one-on-one mentorship and healing. These are intimate soul spaces, and where we might explore grief or transition or spiritual emergence or ancestral healing. I offer power animal retrieval and soul retrieval, extraction, dismemberment, and remembering ceremonies, psychopomp work, and deep energy healing. I guide people in shamanic journeying and help them to connect with their guides and to cultivate their own intuitive knowing. One of the most transformational things that I offer is the firewalk. And as you know, you participated in that. And it's not about bravado, the firewalk. It's about meeting our fear, reclaiming our power, and walking forward in full presence. And like everything I do, it's ceremonial, intentional, and rooted in the sacred. I offer shield work, which supports personal sovereignty and energetic boundaries through medicine and myth, elemental connection, and ally spirit guidance. I hold naming ceremonies where soul names and spirit names are spoken aloud, and often for the first time, and they're received as sacred. A name can speak to the soul and affirm a deeper truth and call in one's power. When we use our spirit names, we can use those when in times of, where we feel we need strength or courage, and or where we really want to embody ourselves. I also guide drum birthing or Celtic style drum blessings. They welcome the drum, not just as an instrument, but as a living ally. And drums carry the heartbeat of the earth. It becomes a companion, a voice of spirit, and a bridge. These are not, like I said before, I think they're not performances. They're they're like invitations to remember. And through it all, through all of this, through all these offerings, I sing, I pray. I weave songs and stories and poetry into the heart of what I do, not as a decoration, but as medicine. Because I believe that words carry frequency and sound opens doors. And when we speak or sing from a deep place, something ancient responds. So creativity is not separate from my shamanic work. It's one of the languages that I work with. And in the essence of the shamanism I practice, it's a weaving of the old and the new. It's a path of deep listening, of honoring the wisdom within the body and the land and the spirit. And it's about remembering who we are and reconnecting to what has always been sacred and walking in right relationship with all that is.
Now, you talked about animistic. How is that integrated? And maybe you can explain that a little bit more about what that means.
Animism was first introduced by an anthropologist, and in the 19th century, and it was a word to describe earth-based spirituality that was beyond or outside of Western religion. And so it feels like it was, that's why I find it hard to come up with words to describe what I do. And I'm careful about what I say there, because I know a lot of these words were created or defined as by people that didn't have an understanding of it. And often it was like seen as even scary or something like that, when it's so natural and it encompasses so much. And it's beyond religion. It isn't a religion, actually, from my point of view. It's more a way of living, a way of honoring what life as it is, as part of this large this large something.
Community, maybe.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
like
part
we're
of
all a
something
part of it.
bigger. Yeah, like it's like a symbiotic relationship between all that is around us. And I feel like over time, we were sort of taken away from that, or that it was made to seem too wild, but it is
Or
so
too
natural,
silly sometimes
or
even,
too
right?
silly, or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
But it's so
yeah.
natural, and it's so
Yeah, we've lost a lot of the magic because I think because we live too much in our heads, and the brain, the mind, has been has become such an important part of everyone's living that it's taken a priority and it really shouldn't have. Like, like intelligence is so important, right? Whereas
yeah,
imagination and magic and all of those things have lost their meaning or their connection, yeah, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I actually think it isn't an intelligence on its own.
Mm.
It's an intelligence that everybody has, and that it doesn't have to be like labeled or defined. It's like we all have this ability to feel into and connect and call upon all that supports us. So I feel like it really is a remembering. And also, I think when, like, well, at least in my experience, I feel like what I do is purely filtered by who I am in my biology, but also all the stories of my ancestors and the culture I live in the land here in Canada really informs me, and it filters who I am. And everybody has a unique version of that. Why it's very difficult define. If somebody wanted to just look at me, for example, and say, I want to do what she does, but what I do is unique to me. And what I can help people do is open to their own unique abilities and to be their own filter of their work. And the important thing is to be authentic and to listen and to be willing to look at your own wounds and to grow and change and evolve.
Yeah,
So,
it sounds to me also, based on everything you're saying, is a lot of it is really helping people connect with that inner voice, because that's where the sorry, that word, authenticity
yeah,
lies, right?
yeah, yeah.
And in the various ceremonies and the ones that I've experienced with you as well, that's the connection. I was thinking about that when you said the naming ceremony. Now, when you're doing that, is that also, I've never done a naming ceremony. So is that also, that inner connection? Does the name come from yourself? Is that where you're
Well,
looking for the guidance?
it could come from yourself for sure.
Okay,
It could definitely come from yourself. And I've actually, my name, Lorriiii Dragon Dream, came from, uh, it was given to me through my own, uh, well, it was I received it from spirit. I didn't receive it from a person. I have
right.
received names from shamans and things like that. And I hold those names as well. But my most powerful name that I work with is Lorriiii Dragon Dream, which I work with consistently. I'm always using that. What happened is I heard the name, and at first I thought it was really silly. I thought, oh, that's not can't be my name. That's silly. And what I heard it as is I heard it as almost like a song, and I heard it's actually Lorriii. That's how I. But it sounds like when I say it to the people in regular reality is Lori. It sounds like Lori, but in the altered states, I hear it as Lori, and it's like a calling of all that all that surround me, and it's sort of like acknowledging that part of me that's beyond this world. And yeah, at first I was afraid to share it because I was like feeling that people would make fun of it, or that it wasn't real or felt really silly. What it reminds me of is it reminds me of how people would call cows, like you ever hear that suey,
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
kind of reminds me of it. But what it is like I think it's an opening to call in all that supports me. And I've given names to people before, and it's a process that I do. I tap into that and really feel into it. So I've given people names and done naming ceremonies like with the names that I've given them as well.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
it could
because
be
you're
a pro.
saying like
Yeah.
as a shaman, you are also helping people to connect to the spirit world, right? Because not
Right.
not everyone is feeling that, or has the ability to make that connection. Um, so yeah, you're like the listener at that sense too.
Yeah, I guess so. Um, I think everybody does have the ability. It's just a lot of people don't believe it when
Mm.
they have it. And I feel like spirit speaks to us through our imagination. And often people think they're just making things up. But that's how spirit
Yeah,
speaks to us. It's a valid channel for spirit is your imagination. And and I've given people names that they've sort of adjusted based on their own as they developed and felt more confidence in their connection. They've adjusted it a bit,
yeah, yeah,
to suit them and to the messages that they've received.
yeah,
So yeah, I think everybody has the ability. It's just a matter
yeah.
of
Yeah,
we
no,
think
yeah, I do. Yeah,
we don't
I
have the
do agree
confidence.
with that, that
Yeah.
that everyone does have that ability, but yeah, they don't have the confidence, or they don't feel that they're making that connection, or like you're saying, if they, don't trust in their own imagination or their own believing, right?
or they have a preconception of what it should be. Like when you do a shamanic journey, some people have, a visual gift. They see things in pictures, but other people might see them in sounds, or in even smells, or in just a sense of knowing. And like I feel like our bodies are part of they are earth. That's what our connection is to the earth, is our physical bodies. The spirits of the earth can speak to us through our bodies, because that's an ancient knowledge, or an ancient language that exists, that we don't really know about, but it's like getting goosebumps. And a part of something that I do in my ceremonies often is I do something called activate our dragon eyes. And what that is activating our shamanic gaze. And so we can see in wholeness, so that we can see through our, not just our eyes, but our ears and our nose and our taste and our imagination. And that just like gives people permission to really open to whatever it is they're receiving, in whatever way they receive it. It's not so easily defined.
Yeah, yeah. Permission to use their creativity and their connection with the imagination, right? Yeah,
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much we forget from childhood, I think. I mean, when we were little, we played things, and we forget to play. And we feel like everything has to be serious. Often I think the answers are actually in play. And even getting to know somebody, like if I'm working with somebody, and um I'm trying to really feel into who they are, I might ask them, what did they play? What was their favorite game they played when they were a child? Like, you know, did you play? Like I played ceremony when I was a child. I remember even when I was a child, creating circles in the earth, and tuning into the land, and you know, creating ceremonies. So that's what I did as a child. So that's
Wow.
that's who I part of who I am is
Yeah,
it, right? So
neat.
yeah.
Wow.
I knew even then not to do it in public necessarily. But when I
Yeah,
was alone, or with my intimate circle, in my intimate circle of trust, with my people that I really felt I could be myself with, I I was that's what I did.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How neat.
Yeah. So it's funny, like how the world brought me back to that, in a way. Like
Yeah,
I kind of,
yeah. It's interesting when you do
yeah,
look at that history. I've seen that with myself, my jobs and what I did, through the training and how it all of it, impacted what I do now, right? Like it was all leading up to, all
right.
the skills that I need to be who I am, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even your childhood, even your parents, and even the challenges and the things that we need to heal, I feel are actually like training to be more purely who we are. And who we are is meant to serve something bigger that isn't so easily defined. And it's a grand picture. It's not just this very moment, it's beyond that. And so yeah, I think it's it's hard to get through sometimes, because some of the things that we've gone through are difficult. And one of the things that I've noticed is that recently is that I've discovered that I had an amazing childhood.
Mm.
I think I was more focused on, for a good part of my life, I was more focused on trauma, or like difficult things in childhood. And I've done so much work on healing myself and my wounds, that I'm able to see now that I had an incredible childhood. I was able to be free and spent a lot of time in nature, and I had family that loved me, and that connection and music. because my family was musical, and we'd have uh, celebrations where people would play music and sing and that sort of thing, which I love to do. So there were so many gifts there, and I think that's what happens is we focus sometimes on a small part, and maybe it's a large part, but there's always some gifts there hidden. So yeah,
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 yeah, I agree. Well, the brain it wants to look at the negative, right? Like it's always kind of focused on that, right? So yeah,
yeah,
it's beautiful once you realize, the all the beautiful things that have happened in your life, and not just focusing on all the negative. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely, well, you get to see more of the truth of it. And no matter what, life is can be challenging, but it can be beautiful in the moment too. And there's lots of gifts to open to. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's complex.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
don't do that, right? We don't, look at the beautiful things that happened in our life. I had the same thing. Like I did. I had lots of love, right? Which I'm very fortunate to have had parents that loved me, and I felt that love, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can say for sure is my parents absolutely loved me.
Yeah.
And that kind of love is foundational. And I'm so lucky to have that. Despite any of the other stuff that went on in life that's difficult, that's really something that I call upon, you know, for
Yeah.
my for to go through my challenges even now. I had this recent thing happen where um my my mother had a health scare, and when she told me, I was like, and my father's died back in 2010. So he's been gone for a while, but I still have my mother. And but she had this health scare, and when she told me about it, I automatically went to a place of, well, who's going to love me now? Because that mother's love is so powerful, and
Yes.
that's something that can't be replaced, you know.
Yes.
So I did some healing work around it, and I some journey work, and I journeyed to a place where I asked my spirit, who will love me now? And I heard the words, I will. And I'm covered in chills because I feel like that, and I've been working with that a lot in the the following months, about how I can love myself in that way, in that complete way, where I'm completely enough and I can be my own best ally, knowing that I can actually love myself. And yeah, so that's a powerful healing.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to, I think all of us need to feel that, right? In this lifetime, it would be beautiful if we could all come to the point where we can say that we truly loved ourselves. Um,
Yeah.
you, you
I think
know,
that's,
I don't think we all get there. I really don't, but I think it would be the most powerful lesson is
yeah.
to love yourself.
I don't think life is a journey of completion necessarily for everyone. And it's a path that we follow, and we get the most out of it. And um, so I don't think we all get there, and finish everything.
Yep.
But it's hard to define for other people. But I know for myself that this has been such a blessing to love myself in this way where I know I'm lovable and I have my own back. And I've been hearing this song that's um, it's a Christian kind of based song that says something like, if you've got Jesus, you've got it all. And I've been like, and I feel like Jesus is part of everything, like part of me, it's like that's me, too. So it's like if I have myself, I have it all, you know. I've been rewording that and singing that song to myself. If I have myself, I have it all. And we all do. And we all have that. That's beyond anything that could happen outside of us. If we can really love ourselves in that way where we've got our back, that you it's like a commitment. I made a commitment to myself in that ceremony that I did for myself, where I said I've got myself, and I commit to taking care of myself and loving myself beyond whatever happens outside of me. So
Yeah,
yeah.
beautiful. I gotta note your guest there in the back, or your family member. Um,
Yeah, my
what was
familiar. I'm gonna bring him
what?
up so he can
Yeah,
say
yeah,
hi.
yeah. I'm sure everybody would just love to see him.
The latest addition to our family.
Oh,
Yeah, he's such a good boy.
what's
Loves to
his
give
name?
gifts. Finnegan.
Finnegan. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, he's great.
And is he like a cockapoo or?
He's a cockapoo. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I have a Cocker Spaniel. Yeah.
yeah, he's great.
Oh, he's so
He
cute.
picked me. He wasn't really, it was totally came out of the blue. I hadn't had a dog for a long time because I was still getting over the last dog that I had.
Yeah, that's hard. I
I
know.
was, yeah, it's difficult to lose those
Yeah.
beautiful friends.
Yeah.
Uh, he came to me, and some of my friends said to me, I didn't even know that was in your radar. And I was like, neither did I. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Like came so fast, and I'm so glad we found him. He's perfect. He's
Yeah.
really great. And I've been staying on the land here in New Brunswick, on our property it's called Eagle's Rest. Carry us through the valley. That's the name of the property.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I stay out here, and he keeps me really good company
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
Yeah. Nice.
I
So,
think so.
we're almost out of time.
Oh no.
Yeah. I know we could just keep talking, right?
I know.
Is there anything that we haven't covered that you wanted to make a point on or say?
Well, I want to say that shamanism, it's a way of helping us to remember what we've forgotten, not intellectually, but on a soul level. That's
Mm,
what I think it is. And in the world that pulls us in all different directions, it's a way of coming back to ourselves and to the body and to the earth and to the unseen layers and that are supporting us. We're so supported by everything, even the place where we sit, like in this room that I'm in. I have this chair and the ground, and I have all these things around me supporting me, and we're so supported. And I feel like part of what I do is people come to me when something deep is stirring, often, and it could be grief or transition or burnout or spiritual emergence, or simply something they can't name. And what I do is I hold space for them, and I help them to connect with themselves and to all that supports them, um, through listening and witnessing and walking alongside them. And I feel my role is to hold sacred space and to meet every opportunity with reverence and curiosity, whether I'm doing like a shamanic journey with somebody or for somebody, or retrieving somebody's soul in soul retrieval work. That's what I offer, is that witness and that place of deep listening for them. I want to say that I believe that healing isn't linear, and that it doesn't always look like resolution. And often it's about reconnection and about remembering our belonging and reclaiming our voice and restoring our relationship with spirit and honoring our own path. And people might seek me out to work with when they're ready to go beneath the surface and to tend to what's raw and real and to find their way back to their own center. And whether we're walking through a ceremony like firewalking or drum birthing or naming ceremony, it's about opening to that or connecting to that thread that connects us to our soul and to our purpose.
Beautiful. I love that. Follow a thread to the soul. That's gorgeous.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Lorriiii.
You're
Um,
welcome.
we know people can find you on Spiritual Canada. Can you tell us where else people can find you?
You can find me on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, as well as on YouTube, and also on the website etherealenergy.ca. And of course, my website, which is spiritdrumming.com. And if you go on spiritdrumming.com, you can become part of our mailing list if that's something you want to do.
Okay.
Thanks, Kathy.
Great. Thanks, Lorriiii.
Okay, love you.
Love you.
Okay, talk soon.
My thanks to Lorriiii Dragon Dream with Spirit Drumming for being my guest today. And thank you for listening in. Be sure to subscribe to us on the Spiritual Canada YouTube channel. This actually is our first video, so I also want to thank Lorriiii for participating in our first video on our podcast. You can also follow us on Spotify or iTunes. And until next time, I'm Kathy Upper, and this is Uncovering Spirituality.